Cause everybody acting like they know me, and they don't know me when they see me. See, I don't know you, and you don't know me. So when you see me, just go back your way, me. Cause everybody acting like they know me, and they don't know me when they see me. You wanna take me away. You wanna take me away.
Man, that song has a great beat. That was Walk the Plank by the Big Takeover off their album Tale of My Life, which you can get on iTunes and CD Baby. I really love the call and response between the vocals and the instrumentals in this song. Now, the Big Takeover, they hail from New Paltz, New York, and they've played along some great bands, including the Wailers. Yeah, you heard right. They've also played with the Pie Tasters, a band I enjoy a whole lot, and I think that's incredibly cool. You can check out the band website at bigtakeoverband.com. You can also find them on MySpace and Reverb Nation. I'm Two Tone Miles, this is Skanbiology, and right now I want to talk plants and plant conservation. Okay, so have you heard about the Doomsday Vault? The Svaldbard Global Seed Vault in Norway. It's built inside of a mountain of sandstone, high enough above sea level to be safe if the polar ice caps melt, and it's capable of withstanding a nuclear blast. The Svaldbard Seed Vault has over 1.5 million different seed varieties and plant varieties. With construction rivaling Superman's Fortress of Solitude, it comes by the nickname of Doomsday Vault honestly. Ironic, as Doomsday was the villain who killed Superman. What the Large Hadron Collider is to physicists, the Svaldbard Bank is to crop scientists. It was given the number 6 slot on Time magazine's Best Inventions of 2008. The vault is prepared for when the entire world goes foobar. Now here's hoping we get our collective shit together and the vault doesn't ever need to be used for that particular purpose. But seriously, 1.5 million varieties. And they've got space for 3 times that number, by the way. They're operating at 1/3 capacity right now. I mean, wouldn't that get awfully confusing? I mean, you'd have to have one hell of an organization system. All those drawers, vials, and envelopes. You know, you could simplify things a lot. You could just pick one wheat variety. I mean, naturally, we'd pick the best one. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. One wheat variety, one corn variety, one potato variety, the best of each. So now instead of 1.5 million varieties, we really only need to keep around a couple dozen. See? I've just cut the need for staff at the vault considerably. Alright, so even I can't make this straw man argument stand up. What I've just described would be the genetic equivalent of having all your eggs in one basket. What happens when you drop the basket? What if your best wheat variety emerges from the vault and is unable to survive in the harsh new landscape? All that work would be for nothing. So naturally, you want to hedge your bets. Don't just pick one variety, but a lot of varieties. Or, in the case of Svaldbard, an incredible amount of varieties. So, hate to break it to all you Wall-E fans, but one plant isn't gonna cut it. We need a lot of plants. The goal is to preserve plant diversity. But why is it so important to preserve diversity? The idea that we need to properly preserve diversity so that future generations can enjoy it almost goes without saying. But on a technical level, why preserve diversity? What do you gain? Now, in the world of plant breeding, every potential parent can be thought of as a tool. You're capable of producing worlds of diversity when you pair up 2 different parents. Now let's use a craft project as a metaphor here. Let's say there's a horrible new corn virus on the way, and as a corn breeder, you need to make the next super resistant variety to survive the virus that's on its way. So that's going to be our craft project, making that super resistant variety. Now, like any project, you're gonna need the right tool for the job. Let's say you need a 3/4 inch socket wrench for a particular craft project. Or in the case of our plant project, in order to breed for resistance, you're gonna want a parent that already has resistance to that virus. Now, the best case scenario is you already have that tool in your shop or in your toolbox. This would be the case where you might work for a university or a private company that has access to the plant or variety you need. They already have it on hand, so you have the right tool for the job. The job is easy. But what if you don't have the right tool? Well, maybe you can borrow that socket wrench from a good neighbor. That's kind of what the Svaldbard Bank is, a sort of a global good neighbor. They'll lend you that socket wrench or that resistant corn variety, so long as you give it back and remember the good deed. Svaldbard and facilities like it constantly lend out plants and seeds with the understanding that if you produce something new, something good, you send it back. You give them a sample so they can preserve your new variety as well. But what if you don't know anyone with the right tool for the job? No one has that 3/4 inch socket wrench. No one has that resistant corn variety, and that's really what you need. So then what do? Well, in the real world, you'd probably go to a hardware store. But I can't really work that into my metaphor, so we'll move on. You really need that 3/4 inch socket wrench, so you have to go out and look for it. Now, plant breeders do this all the time. Go out into the wild and look for what you need. I mean, that resistant corn plant has got to be out there somewhere. The tool for the job is out there somewhere. But it can be difficult to find it. You have to really, really know what you're looking for. Have a good idea of where to find it, and be able to recognize it when you see it. So you can see why it's far more preferable to have that tool for the job in your own toolbox, or at the very least at your neighbor's house where you can borrow it. Seems a lot easier than just going out looking high and low for the right tool for the job. But what if you can't find it at all? Now that is a scary prospect. That's why we must preserve diversity. Once diversity is lost to the ages due to poor preservation, disease, loss of habitat, and many other reasons, it's difficult, bordering on impossible, to get back what was lost. So now, instead of working on a breeding project to get that super resistant variety, you need to work just to get any resistance at all. So now you need to figure out basically how to build the 3/4 inch socket wrench, and you literally just lost the genetic blueprints for how to do that. That's why we need to preserve diversity. Plant breeding takes years, decades even. You cannot waste time trying to reinvent the wheel. Keep your tools in your toolbox, keep them well kept, and in working order, and whatever you do, don't lose them. Now, we mentioned Svaldbard as the good neighbor willing to lend out their tools. But Svaldbard isn't the only neighbor on the block. Actually, they're really only the newest neighbor on the block, having officially opened in 2008. Now, there are others who have been on the block a lot longer. So worldwide, in addition to Svaldbard, there are other major world plant collections. Now, I'm going to list them here. And yeah, this is going to kind of read like a laundry list. I hate to just list things. It's tough to make a list sound interesting, but hopefully you're on board with me, because I think this is pretty neat stuff, and I hope you do too. So here are some of those collections. IRRI, IRI, is the International Rice Research Institute. It's dedicated to improving rice as a food crop, and it's located in the Philippines. In Mexico, you have CIMET, and they do corn and wheat. In India, you have ICRISAT for sorghum, chickpea, and peanuts. In Colombia, you have CIAT for beans and cassava. In Taiwan, you have AVRDC. They do soybeans, tomatoes, cabbages, peppers. In Nigeria, you have IITA for cowpea, sweet potato, and yams. In Peru, there's CIP for potato and sweet potato. And lastly, we have ICRISAT in Syria for wheat, barley, and lentils. Now, these centers work more than on just the crops I've listed, but I wanted to keep the list kind of brief. So these are the good neighbors on the global block. They keep the world's crops and varieties safely preserved, and they do great research. In addition to breeders, these stations are staffed by people who study plant disease, how to better grow the crops, and how to better store the crops after harvest. It's where great minds meet to study world food crops and to try to put an end to world hunger. I've been fortunate enough to have learned from some professors who have spent time at these world collections, and they bring a certain global perspective to the classroom that was just unparalleled. So I consider myself really fortunate to have learned from their experiences. Now, in the United States, we have a similar network of germplasm banks. There's a national laboratory, the NGRL, in Maryland, and there are 4 regional seed vaults, also called Regional Plant Introduction Stations, or RPIs, for the 4 regions of the U.S. The Western Station has onions, beans, garlic, chickpea, alfalfa. The Southern Station has sorghum, peanuts, peppers, melon, and sweet potatoes. The Northeastern Station has peas, tomatoes, clovers, and members of the mustard family. The North Central Station has corn, cucumber, pumpkins, beets, and carrots. And again, this is not a complete list of all the crops they work with, just a taste of what's out there. Now, not every crop can be handled easily from seed. Some crops have to be propagated vegetatively by cuttings or sprigs, and for that you have a set of clonal repositories. In Corvallis, Oregon, the repository has the collections for pears, strawberries, raspberries, and blueberries. Davis, California has almonds, olives, figs, and pomegranates. Geneva, New York has grapes, apples, and cherries. Miami, Florida has mango, coffee, cacao, banana. The collection at Hilo, Hawaii has guava, passion fruit, pineapples, and other tropical fruits. The Texas repositories have hickory, chestnuts, and pecans. And the Riverside, California collection has dates and citrus plants. Now, not to repeat myself too much here, but don't think of that as the complete list of all the crops these stations work with. There's also a big national collection in Fort Collins, Colorado. Now, my wife has toured that facility, and I'm a little jealous of her experience. Me personally, I've toured the Corvallis Clonal Repository, and I've had to write the Western Plant Introduction Station to request materials out of their collections. Now, being part of the USDA, it's funded by the U.S. Treasury, by our tax dollars, meaning that as taxpayers, we have access to the services they provide. Now, obviously, there are some limits here. These facilities exist for research purposes. They aren't designed so you can order everything you want without ever having to pay for seed from a store or catalog. Don't flood them requests for stuff for your garden that you could easily buy yourself. Now, that being said, if you're in research or education and you want to get your hands on some wild species or some rare heirloom varieties that you probably can't find anywhere else, that's what these facilities are there for. You make the request, they send it to you, free of charge. Now you can browse the collection and make requests at www.ars-grin.gov/npgs/orders.html. It's not the prettiest website. There's not a lot of pictures, but it's really kind of interesting to get in there and browse the collection. Now I want to close with the story they told us in my plant breeding class. And it's a little bit of a downer. But then again, can you really discuss the prospect of Doomsday without the doom part of it? During World War II, on the Eastern Front, during the Siege of Leningrad, there were botanists in the Vavilov Institute of Plant Industry, basically a Russian germplasm collection. They were inside the facility and cut off from food. As tempting as it would be to turn the collection into a granary in the interest of self-preservation, instead, they chose to starve to death, surrounded by all that seed that they could have eaten. They weighed their own lives against all the potential good, all the diversity contained in the genetic code of those seeds, and they made their decision. They paid the price with their lives. They died for their lofty ideals. Now, words cannot really express how much I admire that courage. Doomsday vaults, indeed. Okay, so that was a bit of a downer. So on the outro, we have a track, City Streets by Class Action. Now, Class Action are a band out of Calgary, and they've got a big touring schedule for 2012 planned. And if you happen to live on the East Coast, you should check out their schedule and see if they're playing in your neck of the woods. Their band website is classactionska.ca, and you can find them on MySpace, Facebook, or Bandcamp. I especially like the lead guitar in this track. It's a bit of a heavier track about how you can't really go home when home has changed so much over the years. And this song really struck a chord with me. I hope you'll enjoy it as much as I do.
Begins now. Let us rain some doom down upon the filthy heads of our doomed enemies.
I gotta sing the doom song now. Doom, 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 doom.
Would you please stop singing?
Proximity warning. Planet ahead.
Grr! We're here! We're finally here!